The Cowboys owner Jerry Jones' lighthearted jab in response to a question about the running back.
What's your best negotiator with Zeke?
Who?
Pollard.
Zeke who?
The agent said he and Elliott both felt it was disrespectful, and a day after Raiders GM Mike Mayock said of receiver Antonio Brown, quote, "It's time for him to be all in or all out," end quote. Brown dropped by the Raiders facility this morning and sat in on a team meeting. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo will make his preseason debut tonight against the Broncos, his first game action since the leg injury that ended his 2018 season. Broncos receiver Emmanuel Sanders reportedly starting tonight also for the 49ers, his first time back since severing his Achilles injury in December. And Panthers quarterback Cam Newton will make his preseason debut Thursday night against the Patriots. I'm Deb Carson.
We are Sports!
Winner, winner, chicken dinner!
This, the Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Hello, everybody. Ajay Salvesen here on a 4:01 start time as your Monday kicks you off for the week. Good to have you all, however, and wherever you are. I'm Ajay Salvesen. Eric Franson is out and about, and it's funny that we bring up his name. You know, I remember back in the day when I used to work in a select radio station, an individual would always go on vacations, but he'd always call into the show, like when he's on, like he's in Jamaica or in pristine California, hanging out on those beaches. He'd always call into the show instead of just taking the vacation. Now, he's not on vacation, but he is out there somewhere. Is Eric Franson? Eric, are you there?
Just think of me on a pristine Jamaican beach. I like the idea of that.
I'm not going to think about you on a beach. That's kind of creepy. Eric Franson is joining us in a very loud setting. So if you can barely hear Eric, it's not my fault, it's his fault. We got a lot to get over to. It's a put a cap on a Monday edition of the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. We've got Utah State Aggie Scrimmage to recap for you, the State of the Aggie address from both Mr. John Hartwell, Coach Craig Anderson, and Coach Gary Anderson all address the audience. We'll talk about some of the things they talked about. Speaking of Coach Smith, he jumped on a podcast with John Rothstein. The podcast is really interesting, including 3 questions. We'll get to those 3 questions. We'll play that soundbite for you, and you'll hear what Coach Smith has to say in answer to those 3 questions. We'll also get you your Region 11 recap of high school football. Week 1's already in the books. Week 2 coming up on Friday night. We'll get you our winners and our losers, and especially our winners on the Preps Pick'em, which you can find on cvpick'em.com. Eric, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I thought it was a good weekend. Region 11, high school football getting going. Some big surprises. How that shootout in Millville was something. I think that was a little unexpected. But then you had this USU scrimmage on Saturday. So, yeah, good weekend of stuff. And then you had the Team USA, Donovan Mitchell, doing well. Team USA looked better than a lot of us maybe were fearing against Spain. Of course, I know you're going to get into that a little bit more detail about how that team continues to change a little bit.
Sure.
But, yeah, a lot of stuff going on this last weekend. By the way, how did we do in Pick 6?
You know, I hadn't even looked at it yet. I've got to be very honest with you. I've been kind of busy today, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But when I do, I will let you know.
When we spoke this morning, you said you were going to go check right away.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
So is it 8 in a row or is it 9 in a row?
You didn't even win. How do you know you won?
Because when you try to delay and defer, that means you didn't even win.
That's all you do is you assume. I don't even know how Pick 6 went. And you know what? To be honest with you, I don't really care how Pick 6 went. It's not on my it's not on my issues right now. I've got a ton of other things to talk about. Much more important things. Let's start with this, Eric. The Utah State Aggie football scrimmage was on.
Sure you do.
Okay. The Utah State Aggie football scrimmage was on for Saturday. And a couple things stand out to me. One, and this might be a little bit too harsh to say, but I was not at all impressed with the offense. And the question is, and I think the question everybody else is asking as well is that the offense being bad, or is that just how good that defense is, Eric? You've seen fall camp scrimmage or practices. If I were to tell you the offense did not look good, your first thought would be what?
Not a big surprise. Not because I think the offense is going to be bad for USU. I know there are a lot of question marks, especially for the offensive line. But the defense for Utah State is so good that they're going to make the offense not look as great. But with the scrimmage on Saturday, I think it's really hard to get a gauge for where this team really is at, because it looked a little sloppy. It didn't look like it was that great. Defense certainly had players who shined brighter than the offensive players. But Coach Anderson later revealed that, we did a pretty tough scrimmage with the veterans on Friday. So, whatever. So it's either that the offense, there is some concern there that we should all be like freaking out about, or this coaching staff is being very coy about what they're revealing to outside eyes. They know what they have. They don't want to show their hand. And while it may make fans nervous, they know what they have, and they're trying to prepare to beat a Power 5 team that went to a bowl game last year on their field. So it's really one of the two. I don't think there's really much middle ground somewhere in the middle. I think it's either the offense really isn't as far along as we had hoped, and there are concerns about an offensive line or wide receivers and how good they're going to be, or how effective Jordan Love's going to be in taking that next year progression, or this team has been doing it hard in practices without the public or other eyes really keeping observing what happened, and they're just trying to keep it very close to the vest.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think people are kind of overreacting to it, and I really do believe that Coach Anderson is. Look, there's no reason to put everything out there for everybody to see when they can all see it in about 3 weeks, right? They get Stony Brook at home in 3 weeks. You got Wake Forest coming up. There is no need to unleash the playbook for everybody to see. There are concerns about where some of the players were. In fact, you'll hear from Gary Anderson, Jordan Love, and Shaq Bond. In fact, Jordan Love has been wearing a brace, and the last time I had talked to somebody, they said, he's fine. He's okay. There was actually a semi-significant injury that occurred last year during a certain game that required Jordan to have surgery during the off-season. And you'll hear from Jordan about that. We'll get into that later in the hour. But David Woodward...
Yeah, was never revealed.
Yeah, never revealed, never talked about. And by the way, you can't find it anywhere on social media either. No one's saying a word about it. He is okay. He says he's 100%. He'll be ready to go for Wake Forest, which is good news. On the other hand, nobody saw David Woodward, and I'm not going to get into speculation because it's just rumors, and I don't want to go here and try to report a rumor because that's not good to do. But no David Woodward, and if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't available for the Saturday scrimmage. I don't think he was available for the Friday scrimmage, but he has been available for a while, Eric.
Yeah, I was at a practice a little while ago. Didn't see him, and I asked around, and they said, "Oh, I'm sure he's there." And I was like, I didn't see him. And then I thought nothing of it, but then I saw another practice, and I wasn't sure if I saw him then. So yeah, we don't really know what's going on there, and if that's precautionary. I do know some of the things that I was able to see. There were starters that were being held out just for rest or to prevent injury, and so it very well could have been that the time I was there was when those senior first teamers just weren't going. Very easily could have been that's what the situation was. But if it wasn't, then I don't know how concerned we need to be. The coaching staff seems to be like, look, it's going to be fine. But again, is this Gary Anderson being very coy and just playing everything very close to the vest? until the season gets going, or is it really nothing there? We just don't know.
Again, I mean, you're not going to release, and you don't want to put injuries, or someone suffering just minor bruises and bumps. You don't want to put them into the, into the group of wolf pack or whatever, or into the dogs. It's just, there's no sense in doing it when you got a season opener coming up in about 2 weeks, especially on the road against a good Wake Forest team, who, by the way, has announced their starting cornerback as Jamie Newman. Jimmy Newman last year had 2 game-winning drives, both under 2 minutes. He ended the season with 1,083 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 6 appearances. The bulk of that production coming in the final month. Eric, it'll be interesting getting to know who Wake Forest is and their offensive identity. They do have some returning guys, but they had a quarterback situation after Sean Hartman got injured, and so they had to put in a new quarterback. And in the 6 games, this Newman kid comes in and does pretty darn well. In fact, they were actually not bowl eligible before he came in. When he was done, or when the season was done, he had led them to a bowl eligible season. So Wake Forest has got something cooking here as they get ready for August 30th.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised it's taken them this long to announce that and make that official. But whatever. I mean, they made it official. He's going to be the guy. He's got some momentum behind him from what he did last year. But it's nice. USU's got some game film they can study on this guy. Now they know for sure what it's going to look like, who their opponent's going to look like. But I'm sure they're going to be a little bit excited to have him there, and he helped get them to a bowl game. So that's a little extra motivation and momentum on their part, I think.
All right, let's get into some Regional 11 football. By the way, I never did get to hear your best 5 for your top 5 high school players in Cache Valley. What was your list?
Oh, man. Now you're asking me to do it off memory. I think number 5, it was... I did tweet it out. You should have seen it.
Well, sorry, I was driving for 3 hours. I apologize.
you were trying to go do a football game. No, it was, if I'm not mistaken, I had Ryan Zimmerman number 5, Bryce Mortensen number 4, Alex Caressa number 3, DJ Nelson number 2, and then Riley Nelson number 1.
And then I had Ryan Zimmerman number 1.
Yeah, and I caught a lot of grief about not including Luke Falk or Jake Caressa, but I explained why those guys were on my honorable mentions. But that was my 5 best.
Okay, so Luke Falk doesn't make this list because he only played for 1 year, really.
Yeah, that was my reason.
Yeah. And then I look at it. Bryce Mortensen is okay. But Jake Caressa was the most highly recruited player coming out of Cache Valley in football. Jake Caressa was, being called by Stanford, by USC, by Notre Dame. The list goes on and on. That's why I had Jake Caressa on my list. Alex Caressa broke both Riley's and DJ's record, Riley Nilsson's and Ryan Zimmerman's records. Interesting. Why do you have DJ on here?
I had DJ on there because he won a state championship. Alex did not. That's ultimately why I selected him over Alex. DJ was a gamer. I thought that he helped make a lot of things happen on a team that didn't have a lot of stars around him. And so that's why I moved DJ just a little bit ahead. That was really, really close. I had a hard time debating which would go 2 and which would go 3. There was no question in my mind that Riley Nelson was number 1.
Why was Riley Nelson number 1 for you?
Well, just all the things that he did over his career at Logan High, all the records that he broke, Gatorade, All-American, whatever, Player of the Year for the state of Utah, Mr. Football for the Tribune and the Des News. He was a 4A stud, and when he
wasn't
when
a
he was
4A
just
stud,
his entire career at Logan High.
Look,
well, at 3A, okay, it was a 3A stud, but he was a gamer, and he made things happen.
But you talk about
and he won championships.
You talk about state championships matter. Ryan Zimmerman won a state championship, participated in the second semifinal game, broke 13 state records. 13, and yet you have Bryce Morrison, Alex Chris, and DJ Nielsen ahead of him?
Yes, I did. That was my list.
You have no reason.
Look.
Look, I get to grill you now. This is fun. I finally get to grill you on this. Yeah.
Well, no, so look, I know, because you got a lot of the grief for me the other day. But here's the thing. I know one of the things, the other criticisms that I've got, and I think it came to both of us, is that we were very quarterback heavy and offense heavy with our list. And like, hey, you guys got to give some love to the defensive guys. And I get that. I don't mean to diminish the defensive players that have had impact at the schools in Cache Valley, but just the rich history and the records that were set and then broken by so many quarterbacks, you can't overlook that. So I get it that there were some great defensive players, some great two-way players, but they did not set multiple state records. They were not named Mr. Football, and so I had to go with some of these offensive guys because they were so good.
Well, and I agree.
So I just would. So that kind of just in general, and I'm not getting specifically to your question, but to defend my overall list, a big part of why it came down the way that it was. Just so many records were set by these guys, by these offensive guys, and they were so dynamic and so important to their teams. I couldn't not put them in my top 5.
And I'm with you. I'm thinking, unless I saw a defensive player stand out the way that Ryan Zimmerman, Riley Nielsen, Alex Caressa, Jake Caressa, and Ryan Bohm's another one you left off, which was really stunning to me. The guy's like you're on our sister station. He's one of your BFFLs, and you left him off, man. He's not going to be happy when he sees you come fall college football season when this thing gets underway, Eric.
I know he's probably going to tackle me and put me in a headlock or something.
I got it.
But look, one thing that I was thinking of, what would be funny to do, or funny, but fun, would be to put together a list of the best two-way or multi-sport athletes coming out of Cache Valley.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because that could be really interesting. Because look at Ryan Zimmerman, great baseball player, in addition to what he did on the football field. And Ryan Bohm took his basketball team to a state championship or deep into the playoffs. And so there's several of those guys that were great in one sport and then also great in another. And I think that would be perhaps even more challenging than just slimming it down to the 5 best football players.
No, I'm with you. In fact, I had a ton of people at the Utah State football scrimmage come up to me and say, "Are you going to make a basketball list?" And I said, "Absolutely, we will." Come basketball season, Eric and I will pull out our basketball list, and we thought this was tough. Our basketball list, if it goes back to 2000, consists of guys like Nate Harris, Mason Falsliff, Jalen Moore. Give me another great basketball player in the 2000s.
Brenchley.
Yeah, Jackson
Brenchley kid who's on a mission right now.
Yep, and is actually returned, and he's actually working out with the Utah Utes. You've got, the list goes on, and there's a ton of kids who are very qualified to make that list. But come basketball season, we'll give you our best 5 since 2000, and then come baseball season, Eric, I think we need to do best 9, a special edition. And you don't know a whole lot about the high school baseball. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I've had people ask me if we're doing for baseball too. So it got a lot of grief, and it should. It got a lot of argument, and it should. But I think overall, the reaction from the Valley proves one thing, and that's that Cache Valley is passionate about Region 11/Region 12/Cache Valley sports, high school wise.
Yeah, the whole purpose behind Friday 5 Best is to do just what we just saw. We'll throw out our opinions, and we're not just creating like weird people on these lists just to have you yell back at us like you guys are idiots. How could you put that guy on there? But to stimulate that debate in that conversation. And so it's fun. We're going to be keeping it going. It's been fun while we've been doing it the last month or so. But watch for that. Every Friday we'll be doing our Friday 5 Best. And it'll change. We've talked about bowl games. We've talked about most important games on the schedule. 5 best high school football players. So, yeah, it'll definitely keep going. And when we get into the other sports seasons, we'll definitely include them as well.
All right, I got 2 quick questions for you for two different topics, and then I'll let you go. Eric, first of all, for Region 11, Week 1 high school football, give me your biggest surprise and your biggest disappointment.
Biggest surprise was Ridgeline. What a shootout. What an offensive performance. And then to save the game and to win the game on a defensive play. Coach Van Leeuwen has got those guys excited and playing well. And Pineview was supposed to be one of the great teams in the state at this classification. So really big time win for Ridgeline. Don't know if it classifies and justifies storming the field, but which I guess happened. But nonetheless, big game, big win. And so I think that was my biggest surprise. I think my biggest letdown was what happened to the Mustangs. I think I was expecting a little bit more out of them, especially offensively, and listening to parts of your call, sounded like they struggled offensively, which I was a little surprised and disappointed in.
I couldn't agree with you more. Whatever Travis Van Leeuwen touches turns into gold, right? He goes to Logan, they go 9-2. He goes to Ridgeline, new team, and then puts up 58 points on Pineview. And I gotta be honest, I was talking to a couple people about, Green Canyon. They went 28-7, but things aren't all rosy over there. They're still not quite sure defensively what they're doing. Twill is not a good football team from what I've been told by many, especially in the Utah County area. And so I don't know. You are 1-0, and that's the most important thing. But the schedule gets tougher for teams like Green Canyon, Bear River, especially Mountain Crest. And again, you got to win the preseason games if you want even a chance to avoid a first round.
Yeah, there's no reset. Yeah, and there's no reset in the schedule. So what you do now matters with the RPI. I do want to. Green Canyon was a close second to me in surprise in a good way, because I was really interested to see what that undersized, frankly, defensive line, how they were going to perform. And I had heard that Tooele had a big, beefy offensive line, and I thought they were going to get pushed around. They held their own and did quite well. So that was a good surprise for me. But ultimately, the Ridgeline game was the biggest.
All right, let's go ahead and move to Team USA basketball. This team beats Spain by 9 in Anaheim. I had said before the show, I believe on Thursday, that if Spain lost by more than 20, I'd be shocked. Well, they only lost by 9. In fact, they were just, they weren't threatening, but they were just hanging around there for the majority of the second half. After the game, De'Aaron Fox, who had only played for 6 minutes, cuts, breaks, and leaves the team, leaving this team down to 13 people going to Australia, which means you only have to cut 1. Your thoughts on that?
I was surprised to hear that he just voluntarily cut loose, because there were a lot of reports about how well he was doing and that guys were having a hard time staying in front of him, and that he was developing a nice shot and was going to be a nice contributor for the team. So I was really surprised that he cut bait and didn't stick with them. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall and decided to save face and say, I'm going to leave before I get cut. I don't want to be known as the guy that got cut. So I don't know. That did surprise me a little bit. I wouldn't have thought that he would have been cut from the roster. So I guess it just leaves that coaching staff to decide which one guy doesn't stick around. They traveled everybody to Australia. They're there this week, but only one guy that's on that roster now won't eventually compete with them in the FIBA World Cup. But whatever. I mean, it's an exhibition game Friday. Not like those two teams are really going crazy and competing at their hardest. They're still trying to figure out their own selves, rotation-wise, and minutes and distribution and systems. But I think it's a good indication that this team can come together and can play and could be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they can come together, they can gel together. Kemba Walker and Donovan Mitchell led the team in points and assists on Friday night's win over Spain. But I just feel like, in depth-wise, this team's in serious trouble, Eric. Do you agree?
It depends on the position. I think in guard play, they're fine. I actually think they'll be just fine. But when it comes to big men, if you come up against a team that's got some good size and good experience, that could be a problem.
That makes sense. All right, Eric. Well, thanks for your time. Drive safely. I don't know where the heck you are at, but drive safely, and we will hopefully talk to you
I'm
tomorrow.
in the middle of nowhere in Idaho.
Are you hanging out with your brother, though?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Are you hanging out with Ryan?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, all right.
He's actually doing the driving while I sit here and do the talking.
Well, give Ryan the phone. Let's have Ryan jump on. You drive and yeah, let's do it right now. Let's No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right. Eric, thank you so much.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm not going to do that.
I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again back in the studio.
Yeah, what did you bring me for?
Okay, who cares? All right. I'm Ajay Salvesen. That's Eric Franson. Come on. All right. When we come back, we'll get into more Regional 11 football. We'll also get into our Team USA stuff. Again, they get a 9-point win over Spain. We'll talk about what impresses me most, what I'm a little bit surprised by, and some of the guys that have stood out to me, and what this team can do with the 12 players, or at least the 13 players they got going to Australia, and how much that actually affects them. Really quickly, we have our CV Pick'em. Remember our Cache Valley High School football picks every single Friday. You can enter those picks in by 5 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time and have a chance to win a prize. This week's winner, or this past week's winner, Taylor Palmer, who had the most points after week 1 in our prep Pick'em contest, presented by Locker 42. Palmer, also known as Sasquatch Aggie? Sasquatch Aggie. Wonderful. That's awesome. Went 6-1 and had the highest point total of anyone. Because of that, Palmer wins a gift certificate to Locker 42, the perfect place for Aggie licensed gear. Because Taylor won this week's contest, he also is automatically entered in to win the grand prize at the conclusion of our contest, a 65-inch 4K TV from Lens Audio and Video. And if you participated in this contest but didn't win this week, don't worry. It already sets with the new schedule of games next week, or at least this upcoming week. Invite your friends and have fun guessing which high school teams will win this week. There is a link on our station website, 1069 The Fan. Also, you can log on to cvpick'em.com and other Cache Valley Daily related websites. And as FYI for this upcoming week, this week's prize is a $200 worth of oil changes at Cache Valley Auto Care. $200 worth of oil changes at Cache Valley Auto Care. And again, the grand prize for this at the end, for the drawing after the whole season's over with, 65-inch, 4K, beautifully pristine TV. Brought to you from Lens Audio and Video. Again, you can find you can log on and register in to participate in the high school pick'em contest on cvpick'em.com or on 1069thefan.com or CacheValleyDaily.com. All right, coming back, we'll get you some Team USA news. We also have other bits of news coming from Utah State Aggie football. We'll get you all that news and more. That's all coming up here on the Full Court Press. I'm Ajay Salvesen on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The new home for the Full Court Press. Weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Hi, everybody. Ajay Salvesen. Welcome back to another edition of the Full Court Press. Another week as well. We had Eric on the phone for a little bit. We chatted about his favorite chocolate bar, why he's in love with Logan so much, or at least our high school football players, and And who won pick six, which, by the way, we still don't know who won pick six because I didn't even look it up because I didn't want to. In case I lost. I really didn't want to look it up, and I'm not lying to you. It gets kind of annoying after you lose for 6 weeks in a row. It's like, you know what? Forget it. Who cares? Like, when you see teams tanking games, I'm doing that. I'm tanking pick six. I'm trying to lose. How's that? How's that for dropping a bombshell? All right, let's get into some Aggie sports news. We got a bunch of it, so bear with us here. Let's start off with Utah State Volleyball. They're going to be hosting their blue and white scrimmage on Tuesday, August 20th on the Kirby Court at the Wayne Estes Center at 7 p.m. The event is free and open to the public. Utah State students arriving to the match will be treated to free pizza while supplies last, and all fans will be able to mingle with the volleyball team in a post-match autograph session. For the Aggies, they returned 4 starters and 7 total letter winners to the court this season. They did finish 5-24 overall last year, including 3-15 in Mountain West play. They look to replace some of their key players on the rotation. In fact, they graduated 3 seniors from last year's squad. However, the Aggies returned their top blocker in sophomore Corrine Larson. She averaged about 1.18 blocks per set. Joining her is returning starter junior outside hitter Bailey Downing and Gabby Shumway, who's led the team with 2.56 and 2.50 kills per set, respectively, both of them last season. So, again, blue and white scrimmage tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Be there, be square. Jordan Love up for more awards. What else is new? He has been named to the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award watch list. And it was announced Monday by the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, along with presenting a sponsor. Let's see, it would be A.O. Smith Corporation. In all, Love is just one of 49 players to be named to this list. Now, the award is presented annually to the top senior or fourth-year junior quarterback set to graduate with their class by the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Educational Foundation. The 6'4", 220-pounder, again, he's from Bakersfield, California, has earned second-team Mountain West All Honors from last year. He set 5 school records with 32 touchdowns, 3,567 passing yards, and 7 300 passing yard games. By the way, a ton of those were by the end of the third quarter. That's what's the most impressive thing. So he's been named to the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award watch list. Say that 10 times. He's also been named to the Manning Award watch list. Now, in this regard, this award is presented annually to a top senior or fourth-year junior quarterback set with their class by the Manning. Actually, you know what? Time out. I looked at this wrong. I'm sorry. You know what? We're going to edit on the fly here. This is the same release, but they named the wrong watch award. All right. So, anyways, the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award watch list, Jordan Love has been named to. Congratulations, Jordan Love. A lot of award watch lists for a lot of these players, including DJ Williams, Savon Scarver, David Wilbur, Tipa Nali, and of course, as we've already mentioned, Jordan Love. Now, in regards of USU softball, they've announced their exhibition dates. For those who are interested, as coach, the head softball coach Steve Johnson has announced that their fall schedule will include hosting Snow College on Saturday, September 21st, and a doubleheader that begins at 1 p.m. In October, they'll play a doubleheader against Salt Lake Community College on Saturday, October 5th, with play starting at noon. They'll then head south to play both Utah Valley and BYU in a pair of games on BYU's field on Saturday, October 12th. And the Aggies will take on the Wolverines at 11:30 a.m., the Cougars at 1:30 p.m. They'll then return to host the USU Eastern in a doubleheader on Friday, October 18th, and that's a 2:30 first pitch. Along with the 5 exhibition dates, Utah State will also play 2 intra-squad games during the fall. Seattle alumni game will be held in conjunction with USU homecoming on Saturday, September 28th. The time of the game will be announced at a later time once the football kickoff time is set. So they're actually waiting for the homecoming game to be announced, and then they'll go and adjust their time to that. The fall schedule also will close with the Aggies' traditional Halloween game set for Saturday, October 26th at noon. The team and the coaching staff will be dressed in costumes, and fans are also encouraged to participate. So there is your softball news. And again, we want to congratulate, in regards of our Cash Valley Pick'em in Week 1, Taylor Palmer, who went 6-1. He has won a Locker 42 gift card for $100 worth. Now, remember, the grand prize, 65-inch 4K TV presented to you by Lynn's Audio and Video. Now, this week's prize, $200 worth of oil changes at Cache Valley Auto Care. $200. You can enter into this contest every single week. It resets with the new set of games. You go to cvpick'em.com, go to cachevalleydaily.com, or to our site 1069thefan.com. All right, I think we got it all. I am pretty sure we got it all. Yes, we do. Okay, coming up next hour, by the way, just want to make sure I tease this right. John Rothstein, who had Coach Craig Smith on his podcast, we are going to listen into that. And he says some interesting things. He talks about Neemias Queta's injury. There is this rumor going around that Neemias Queta is out for the year. Coach Smith has not announced anything of such, nor has his staff, nor has USU Athletics or their marketing. Nobody's announced anything. You have not heard anything from Kyle Cottom, the PR guy for USU basketball, or anybody else. So this whole rumor of that Neemias Queta is out for the year, it's torn, it's whatever, stop it. It's not true. Craig Smith will sort of clear it up for you. Coming up in the next hour with John Rothstein on a podcast that we'll get into in that regard. We'll also talk a little bit more about the FIBA USA Men's basketball thing. They had their exhibition versus Spain. They won by 9, but they also lost a player after the game because he decided to drop out. And it's a big one. And it really hurts their depth. So we'll get into that in the next hour as well. We'll also get into more of the national talk in regards of the NFL. Preseason football is in, getting ready for another week. We're going to talk about our winners and losers so far. A lot of cuts have been made. Are there any surprising ones? We'll get into all that. But first, let's start here with the high school football. So, in last week's games, I gotta pull up this tweet because I had it. There we go. All right, scores from Regional 11 went like this: Bear River over Juan Diego 27-14. Salem Hills over Mountain Crest in a drubbing of 34-7. Speaking of drubbings, Provo 46, Logan 7, Ridgeline 58-56 winners over Pineview, and Green Canyon winners over Tooele 28-7. Finally, Skyview 27, Stansbury 20. By the way, we will have your bread and butter play the game. Okay, so your bread and butter play of the game from the Skyview win over Stansbury 27-20. There is a specific play that the play-by-play announcer, John Newbold, my man, announced as the bread and butter player of the game. We'll announce that contest later next hour, and you'll have a chance to be able to call in and win a prize. Pretty easy stuff, right? So we'll get into that more as we enter into the second hour at 5 o'clock. And I'll kind of give you a warning of when that's coming on. You can call in anytime, even with your thoughts, at 435-752-1069. You can argue with me, agree with me, chat with me, whatever you want to do. But again, Bear River over Juan Diego, 27-14. Salem Hills over Mount Crest, 34-7. Ridgeline over Pineview, 58-56. Provo beats Logan, 46-7. Skyway over Stansbury, 27-20. And Green Canyon, 28-7 winners over Tooele. Now, let's start here at the Bear River Juan Diego game. Juan Diego has lost some talent. Bear River has retained some of its talent, including Renz Fonsbeck as quarterback. And then you have some talented wide receivers. In fact, Josh Payne's one of those. A kid who's able to go up and get a ball. I wasn't at the game, but I talked to a couple people, and they said that there was twice where a throw is just a little bit underneath Josh. Josh twice went up and made a great grab. In fact, one of them was between a safety and a defender, and he still hauled in for a touchdown. Josh had 2 touchdowns on the night. Bear River beats Juan Diego 27-14. I don't think they're out of the woods yet. They still need to find a way to be able to protect the quarterback. I think there's been issues with that. And then on the other side, containing the passing game. Speaking of containing the passing game, Ridgeline, 58-56 winners over Pineview. Ridgeline, Travis Van Loon is an offensive guru, and what he's got going on is absolutely sexy in regards to the offense. The defense is a problem. When you give up 56 points to Pineview, whether they're a good offense or not, that is troubling and very concerning. You expect that Ridgeline should be able to get it together come this upcoming week. Logan, third coach, 3 years, new quarterback with Ethan Wilson there. You lose Johnny Parkinson. You kind of expected this. It's still tough to swallow. 46-7 losers to Provo. I don't think that spells out who Logan is, though. I still think Logan High School is a very good football team. That they're a competitive team. And that just because this is game one doesn't mean you lose the state championship if you're 0-1. I gave that same exact speech about Salem Hills over MC 34-7. MC got dropped. This is the game that AJ Knight and I called. By the way, AJ Knight was so good on the radio. It was such a blast to be able to work with him. MC's defense had a lot of returning talent, but it didn't show. Salem Hills offensively did whatever they wanted to whenever they wanted to do it. That is a major problem. Especially with a defense that's supposed to be, experienced, returning, coming back. This shouldn't be an issue, but it was. Offensively, Tatum Burbank had no time to throw at all. In fact, when they'd go empty set, 5 wide spread, Salem Hills would stack the box. I mean, stack it, and then send the kitchen sink. And yet no adjustments were made to send a running back or somebody else to come help block. None. And in that case, you put Tatum like a deer in front of headlights. It's just a tough thing to have to do as a quarterback when you're not being given any time. The running game was at times, they had bright spots. There was a lot of times where they will find a few yards of carry, but for the most part, when you can't develop a consistent running game like Salem Hills did, averaging 6.5 yards of carry, Salem Hills did, you can't develop a passing game. In fact, there was times where they threw a play-action fake, Mountain Crest would, and Salem wouldn't fall for it because they knew the running game wasn't there in the first place. Mountain Crest needs to develop a running game to have any chance at all. Green Canyon winners over Twilla 28-7. How good is Twilla? We really don't know. But Green Canyon comes alive. Carter White with the pick. Remember, they lost Jake Diger because he quit. So they had a new running back come in. He had to take the reins. It was a different animal for him. But it sounds like they handled it well. Again, 28-7 winners over the Twilla Buffaloes. Skyview, 27 winners over Stansbury. What an impressive win for Skyview, by the way. In fact, it was an 11-yard pass from Trey Nyman to Mason Falsliv with just under 90 seconds left in the game, which ended up being the difference. Skyview comes away, and they are 1-0. Falsliv also threw for touchdowns. So not only did he catch one, but he threw for 2, which accounts for 21 points. Well, yeah, I guess he missed a PAT, so maybe not. But you're looking at, it's 20, 21 points from your quarterback. Mason Falsliv is the best player in this region for football. But if you can stop Mason Falsliv on Skyview, you can stop Skyview as a whole. If you can stop Mason Falsliv, you can stop Skyview as a whole, which honestly is easier said than done. I completely understand that. All right, let's get into this week's schedule. By the way, again, just a reminder, you can find, if you want to be a part of the Cache Valley Pick'em contest for high school football games, go to 1069thefan.com, go to cachevalleydaily.com, go to cvpick'em.com. There you can register and enter to win. The giveaway this week is $200 worth of oil changes from Cache Valley Auto Care. The grand prize, 65-inch 4K TV from Lynn's Audio and Video. That is delicious. Okay, games coming up this week in Region 11 and a couple others that stand out. Bear River Box Elder continue their rivalry. It's the longest played rivalry in the whole entire state of Utah. Non-interrupted. Bear River at Box Elder at 7 o'clock. Should be an absolute dandy of a game. I can't wait for that one. Mountain Crest is at Wasatch. Mountain Crest will have a chance to regain their footing. They're not at Wasatch. Forgive me, I lied to you. They host Wasatch. In fact, Mountain Crest Mustangs host the next 4 games at home. So they won't see the road until September 16th. And then by then you have about 3 weeks of football left and then you're done. They do finish on the season with the final 3 games on the road, including Bear River and UE game at Bountiful. Skyview is at Skyridge. That should be a Danny Stansberry, speaking of which, who Stansberry just fell short to Skyview last week. They now go to Logan to face the Logan Grizzlies. And then Ridgeline will be at Cypress. So, Okay, I'm going to play the nostalgia game really quickly. So, I remember Cypress, and we're talking about the best 5 high school football players ever. Ryan Zimmerman's my number 1, and I'm not just saying that because I saw Ryan Zimmerman for 2 years. Ryan in back-to-back weeks, beat Lone Peak and Cypress. Lone Peak and Cypress. Both 2 teams were ranked in the top 3 in the 4A at the time. Then the following year, they go back to Cypress again. Cypress is 10-1 at this time, and then Ryan goes in there and they shellac him 47-16 in freezing weather. Cypress used to be so good at football, and they used to be really good at baseball, by the way, too. So that's your schedule for this week. I don't think have I missed anyone, everybody? We've got Ridgeline, right? Ridgeline's at Cypress. Mountain Crest hosts Wasatch. Stansberry's at Logan. Bear River is at Box Elder. Oh, Green Canyon. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Green Canyon's at Bonneville. Bonneville's a really strong... By the way, back in the day, Bonneville used to be really good as well. How times have changed. All right, that's your Region High School fill-up. Again, we'll have a prize giveaway next week. Or not next week, next hour. And it'll be your bread and butter player of the game from Skyview football game of last week. There you can win a prize. We'll tell you what the prize is and how you can win. We'll get into all that there during the 5 o'clock hour. Also, as well, you'll get into some Craig Smith audio and much, much more. All right, coming back, we have to take a short break. Coming back, we'll get you ready for the second hour. We'll break down a couple other news bits going on around the country and more. I'm Ajay Salvesen. You're listening to the Full Court Press on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Magic, madness, heaven, sin. Saw you there and I thought, oh my God, look at that face. You look like my next...
Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. We got to be really quick. I got another break to throw in. We'll break it down for you. More in regard to the next hour. We'll get you there and tease that just a little bit. And by the way, this whole Antonio Brown situation in regards of his helmet and him not playing and him just skipping out on football and then the Raiders is an absolute joke. And it is a reason why professional football is becoming a bottom sport compared to the NCAA college football where kids play because they love it. It's an absolute shame what the NFL is becoming recently and what I mean, just the egos involved as well. All right, coming back, we'll tease the fifth hour for you and get you ready for the 5 o'clock hour. It's all coming up on the Full Court Press.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Hour number one, just about to be in the books. 4:54 your time. I'm Ajay Salvesen on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. Kind of a wacky first hour. We apologize for that. Trying to get all the info in, and obviously we weren't able to. Again, Jordan Love has been named to the Johnny United's Golden Arm Award watch list. It's another one to add on for the kid who has a lot of expectation on him. We're going to get into more of the Utah State spring scrimmage, fall camp scrimmage, what I saw. Now they have close practices the rest of the way through until they get ready for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons on August 30th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Jamie Newman for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons has been named your starting quarterback. He had in his 6 appearances 2 game-winning drives, both under 2 minutes. He also threw 4 interceptions in his 6 appearances, but they like his leadership, his accountability, and I think he's one of the more experienced ones, so I think that's why he got the gig. We'll get into your In the Know starting next week. Yeah, we're there, in the know. I believe next Thursday. We'll break it down for you. Everything that's coming up in regards of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, what to look out for. We'll also have someone, whether it's a beat writer or the play-by-play guy. We'll have a chance to chat with him for you guys to hear that, and he'll give us his take on what he's seeing from Wake Forest. That will be every single week. You'll get your in the know on the opponent, and we'll give you the best coverage possible on the Utah State Aggie football team as their 2019 season is just 1 week away. By the way, college football starts this Saturday, and I cannot wait. I need to look up who is actually playing. I just know it starts this Saturday. I got to look up who's playing. All right, coming up next hour, you got your Team USA stuff. You got Coach Smith again with John Rothstein, part of the podcast. We'll get you that and more. That's all coming up on the podcast on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. We all know that certain teams drive the popularity of different sports. The Dallas Cowboys are that team in the NFL. You could argue the Lakers are that team in the NBA, Duke in college basketball, maybe Notre Dame, Alabama in football. But the original super team, the New York Yankees. They've always held a special place in baseball and American culture. Baseball executives have to be thrilled about their success this season. It's been 10 years since they've been to the World Series, but they have a great chance this year. They're a likable team. They have a huge payroll, but they didn't get here by outspending everyone. They have great young talent. They play baseball the right way. But now the issue in baseball today is the playoffs are a minefield. Having a dominant regular season doesn't mean much. And there are some really, really good teams built for the short haul. The Yankee fans have every right to be happy and hope that this year is the year they return to a familiar place, the World Series. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.